You know, something else I thought about that was interesting, like kind of on the exploitation thing of yesterday. I was talking about pawn shops in a Reddit comment, and I'm wondering, like, pawn shops are something that I don't know if you would say that people in poor communities like, but maybe that they're somewhat necessary. Is it a fair thing to say that pawn shops, I wonder if they're not exploitative? Um, so I'm saying this because I don't think pawn shops generate a
Well,
huge amount of revenue
the
because there's no
real
like $1 trillion companies that run a bunch of
yeah,
pawn shops, you
the
know?
real question would be just skip all of the bullshit and go straight to payday loans. Do we think payday loans are predatory?
Well, I
Because
think that's maybe,
I would say
is that maybe
traditionally,
worse?
yeah, I would say payday. Yeah, of course, I would say
Well,
payday
no,
loans are predatory. But X Skills is like, well, without payday loans, what would those people do otherwise? That was his argument, but I still feel like they were predatory.
no, but so payday loans, I believe that they've actually generated enough of a profit that they've been like a conglomerate of like, is there a large company that owns a bunch of payday loan companies as a whole at this point?
I have no idea.
I don't think that exists for pawn shops, if you will, meaning that when you run a pawn shop, there is profit involved, but it is not stupid amounts of profit that could come from other businesses. So when you talk about businesses in general, I feel like there's kind of like a few ways of looking at how you could set up a business. So one side of that might be a pawn shop where it's just consistent, good income, but not crazy. You will not become a multimillionaire, most likely, if you own a pawn shop.
Mm-hmm.
You'll do okay. You'll probably make a few $100,000 a year, you know, when all other things come together. Because you have to think about, oh, that's not true, Dan, if you're in a really populated... Well, no, because if you're in a really populated area, you're probably going to have more competition. You're probably going to have a higher rent bill. Salaries are going to cost more for the people that work at your place. Like, I believe that it all comes together, and there's a cap. When you run a pawn shop, you will probably, in most cases, generate a decent income, a few $100,000 a year as the owner, something along those lines. But there is no huge win at the end. Now, the contrast to this versus the recording business, in my opinion, was you're never going to become a fucking billionaire or a millionaire with the pawn shops. But with this, you could, but also there's a much higher failure rate if you do a recording business where you could actually just lose it all. You could, like, you're making a lot of bets and none of them hit. You took 100 shots and one of them was supposed to become the one that pays for everything, and it didn't. And that's kind of, I think, the disparity that when it does hit, you're not just coming back and, you know, hey, I made a few $100,000. You're coming back and you're making it big because you took this riskier business that has huge stakes. You know, either go broke or die trying type of thing. Do you concur with that, or
Yeah,
or
I think
not,
what you're
guess?
essentially describing in investing, it's called it's an RAR, a risk adjusted return, right?
I
Like
guess
if
that,
I'm
yeah.
investing in something that's giving me a 50% rate of return, the failure rate on that investment is going to be really fucking high. If I'm investing in something that gives me like a 7% rate of return, the failure rate on that is going to be really, really, really low, right? You're talking about something with a big like rate of like a big risk of return or something, or investment risk or something, right?
Um, yeah, I think so. Like, I think like that's why pawn shops. But again, coming back to this, so do you feel like a pawn shop is exploitative in your opinion?
A little bit, yeah.
Why?
Because the offers that they have, in my opinion, are fucking insane. It's just taking advantage of like poor, stupid people that don't know anything
Well,
about
but
finance.
is it really taking advantage? Like, if let's give me this, concede to me, even though it may not be true.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know how I get this. Concede to me that the owner of a pawn shop might make 200K a year.
Mm-hmm.
So now tell me how they're exploitative, I guess.
I just the rates that they offer people are just like fucking insane.
So why are those rates high?
Because
Besides the
because
owner wants lots of money.
well, because the poor people have probably really shit credit. They don't have access to any other type of credit.
I think that's partially it. Is there also risk of things like counterfeit and things like that coming through there?
Maybe.
I don't know where a lot of the loss comes through on a pawn shop because it doesn't seem like you're not making a lot of gambles. It's not like you're making investments and, you know, poor people. It's not like the payday loan business, which I think would be a better analogy to here, if that makes sense, right? Like on a payday loan company, you could potentially get not paid off. So you would have the people that never come back to your store to pay off that loan, subsidizing the other ones. But I think there's just so much profit there that they, you know, they could do better. They just choose not to because there's no other options essentially.
Okay.
So I guess I'm saying that with a pawn shop, I just don't see enough revenue to say that this is exploitative. I think that there's just so much fixed costs.
Okay, let's say that I made a deal. Let's say that I set up a shop in an area, and I'll lend you $50,000.
Yep.
And if you don't pay me back in 2 weeks, I get to fuck you.
Okay, this is going to another level. But
Well, why?
okay.
Is it exploitative? Let's say it's the only money some people can get. Is that okay?
Is that exploitative? You know, before I answer that, let me counter with, let's say that you're going to loan me $10 million and that you get to fuck me if you don't pay it back. Is that exploitative?
The difference here is that $10 million sounds like it's for something fun or extra, like a business, whereas like the $50,000 could be like a payday loan to like pay your bills or something.
Well, I'm trying to make it comparable that I could understand. So I would say to a poor person, $50,000, maybe like, this is sad, but people sell their bodies for a lot less than $50,000.
Sure. I guess what the thing
if you came to me and offered me $10 million to fuck me, I think I would let you do it for sure.
The concept that I'm getting at that seems a little bit shitty in society is, have you ever heard the saying, it's expensive to be poor?
Yeah, sure. It is.
It feels like in some ways, yeah, that like it's like that's fucked. Like at a time where I could probably pull money out of my house for like 2%, I would guess, a few years ago, probably, with like a home equity line of credit or something. My uncle is showing me these like pink slips where he used to collect a whole bunch of like World War I and II rifles, like Japanese and French rifles and shit. They'd all be using different ammo. They're all like exotic and shit. He would go to a pawn shop and he would turn them in and they'd give him a slip and he would get $300. And in 2 weeks, he'd have to pay them back like $350. So like the interest rate on this, even though it doesn't look bad on paper, is unreal. It's unbelievable. And he would do these over and over and over and over again. He was like in this never-ending loop of like juggling these little slips of paper to keep track of like all the shit that he'd thrown in at a pawn shop. And I don't know. I don't know how I can like quantify that for you in like a hardcore capitalist take, but to me it feels kind of bad because it's like, damn, like I could pull $100,000 out of my house at like 2.25%, and this dude is like at 5,000% APR, like pawning off his fucking rifles to try to pay like other credit card debt.
Here's an interesting thought for you. Let's assume that payday loan companies, let's say they have a profit currently. Let's just make up a payday loan company right now. So let's say that they're doing $1 billion in loans a year, okay? And of that $1 billion that they loan out, after everything is said and done, let's say that how much profit is in this? Like how much would we
just say
expect
10% profit margin? So
let's say that they make $1.1 billion of the year. So they took out $100 million in profit. Now, let's assume that they did this as a completely, cooperative thing. They're a nonprofit, okay? They're not in it for the money. And they want to have as limited staff as possible. They want the cost as low as possible. So out of that $100 million,
hold on, wait, real quick. Am I retarded? This guy just said $50 interest on $300 after 2 weeks is less than 5% APR.
Yeah, that guy's actually retarded.
Yeah.
5% is about $1.50 per year on 300.
Yeah, well, this is like, this might be triple or quadruple digit APR. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Please shut the fuck up in my chat. Oh my God, and go take another payday loan to afford internet to type it in.
You're like me. I'm fighting with people in chat.
Sorry.
So so let's assume on our fictional payday loan company, we gave out $1 billion in loans. Okay, so first off, the thing to consider is, I think we need to make more than 1.1. But let's just keep it there because the cost of the $1 billion we loaned out has a cost as well. Like that much money is outstanding. But we have fixed costs, everything, yada, yada, yada. What I wanted to suggest is, let's say that at the end of the day, the company broke even. Okay. And it has a very trim staff and everything like that. Do you imagine that the rates that they would give out would be super nice and not
okay, here, real quick. I understand all the hypotheticals. I understand all the arguments. I understand where you're coming from, okay? You're coming from it from the other end that I am. That's the issue. Like, so you're trying to say that, like, this is the only way the business can survive. And what I'm saying is, well, maybe there are some businesses that shouldn't survive, right? Like, what if I could show you that, like,
just deny people access to credit?
Yes. What if I show you that, like, I can make a certain business model work, but it only works on the assumption that I have employees that I can pay $2 an hour? Like, I would say, well, that business model is not a good business model. Like, it probably doesn't belong in the United States.
If there's people willing to work for $2 an hour and they can't get work elsewhere, it's better for them to work than not work.
So I
Well,
guess I look at it.
Yeah.
So if you're able to find employees for $2 an hour and no one else is willing to bid on those employees, it's better for everybody that they're working for $2 an hour.
Yeah, but the problem is you can like infinitely justify the worst types of like behavior, like predatory behavior in
Okay,
the
well then
market
you can
because
just infinitely justify not allowing marginal people or marginalized people to ever work because they'll never be productive enough to have a real job and they'll never make a leg up in the real world.
or we use social safety nets so that we don't have like the most like
But
predatory
they're
types
never
of
going to be
things.
able to have a job, so we're just infinitely.
Why would they
going
never be
paying
able to
for
have a
them.
job? Who are we talking
Because
about?
they'll never be able to get experience to be worth more than whatever they're able to do, or some of them are just inherently disabled and are unable to make minimum wage.
First of all, if you want to talk about disabled people, that is a fundamentally different type of conversation. If you want to bring like a wheelchair person with Parkinson's out as your example, you can do that. But I'm saying that like plenty of people have been able to gain experience in job markets and everything with minimum wage. Like that hasn't impacted anybody's ability.
Sure, but if we minimum wage to $50, they're not able to work at all.
Well,
like
good
that's
thing
what's
we're not
happening
talking
a
about
lot.
minimum wage at $50. I was talking about theoretically employing somebody at $2, which is below the federal minimum wage. If you have a business model that only works employing people at $2 an hour, it's probably not a good business model. Maybe it doesn't belong in the United States. And the arguments that Dan are making could be used to justify that model. What if I could only run the business at that profit margin? And then I say, okay, well then you probably shouldn't have that business. Probably just not something we want in the United States.
Well, I'd like to make some assumptions that we're in the society that we're in right now, which is democratic. People vote for things
Yeah, that's what you
that
think.
we want to treat people equally. I would say that the argument that you're giving, I don't think that works and that's possible unless you want to say, okay, well, and also, by the way, poor people can't buy soda. You can't buy cigarettes. You can't do that. And you might be like, yes, Giga Chad.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that, I think, becomes a something that you would also fight against when you say, oh, and poor people can't buy guns, which you've said not based. You said, no, poor people should buy guns. So that
Why is that? Wait, did I really say that?
You really did say that. Because I essentially said, how about we make it that ammo is taxed stupid high? So every bullet that you buy now is $100 a bullet. And the idea is that poor people would never commit crimes because, if you have 10 bullets to do a robbery, you're just going to go and sell those bullets first. As a result.
Okay, well, if I did say that, I walk that back. That's a dumb thing to say. What I probably said is what I would say is that politically that would be a suicidal opinion. You should never, ever, ever.
But you like the idea of making it so poor people can't have guns.
Why?
Can't
Poor
buy
people
soda.
having guns is like the worst thing ever, right? Because they're the ones that commit all the fucking crime. It's kind of like Bloomberg said something that was Giga Chad as fuck. He sucked on stage with all this political shit, but somebody was asking Bloomberg questions on a panel about like taxing sugar or whatever. And somebody asked Bloomberg, they were like, well, if you tax sugar, isn't that kind of disproportionately affecting poor people? And Bloomberg's answer was like, yeah, poor people are the ones that need to be affected the most by this because they're the ones that make the worst shopping decisions when it comes to health. I'm like, okay, true. That's actually true. In which case, yeah, I probably would support that type of tax, even if it does disproportionately impact poor people.
So where can I draw this line, you think? So let's say hypothetically that poor people are, they go to the movies too much. And because of that, they lose out on business opportunities. Would you say, oh, poor people shouldn't be able to go to the movies anymore?
Probably not. I don't think I'd ever say that.
Why?
Because there are certain basic amenities in life you should probably be able to enjoy. Going out to the movies is probably one of them.
Like buying soda is not one of those. Though,
No, buying
right?
soda is probably one of those. Sure.
Why? It affects poor people way more than rich people.
Because I don't know if sodas are making up like the largest like expenditure outlays of like a poor person that's impacting their ability to, not be poor.
Should corner stores be banned?
I don't know. In America?
Yeah.
Fuck, probably not. But they suck.
Well, that's not fair. If you want to ban pawn shops and predatory payday loans, I feel like you have to ban corner shops too. And then you get into the issue of the fact that
I think these are fundamentally different things.
Wait,
I'm not so sure that they're that different. Hold up a second.
I haven't heard of like this is anecdote Andy now, but I haven't heard stories of like, oh god, like my dad, he's just stuck in this perpetual loop of buying half gallons of milk from the gas station that are like $6.
Well, no, not because it costs more. The idea is the food that is at these corner stores, these food deserts, because traditional grocers don't want to set up in that town because it's not profitable for them to do it. And due to loss and other aspects.
Oh, but traditional grocers don't set up in those towns because people don't buy that type of food. The food deserts are.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, but you're still doing that. That you corner stores kill poor people.
Does the government have a right to make a law that says you have to eat your vegetables?
No.
So, but again, it comes down to the fact.
Why do they have a right to stop you from making decisions that you think are in your financial best interest?
Hold on. What is this hyper autistic? Does the government have the right to do the most restrictive thing ever? No? Then the government has no right to do any restrictive thing whatsoever? What? That isn't how that works, right?
No. So if you're denying people access to credit, you're saying the government has the ability to lock you out of credit to stop you from getting evicted from your house.
Okay, Ragepope, do you think people should have the right to access whatever credit they want? Should I be able to pawn my child?
Yes. No, not child. There are certain things that you shouldn't, but any asset that you have, yes, any asset that you have that you could otherwise buy or sell, then yes, you should be able to access credit through that. And then even if you don't have any assets,
what if there was some asset that poor people could access credit through that like we could show over the long term was like just highly detrimental to poor people?
I mean, there's all sorts of decisions that they make that are highly detrimental to poor people, but we don't stop them from doing it anyways. Do we stop poor people from buying tickets, lottery tickets? Do we stop poor people from buying alcohol, from buying tobacco? These things are significantly worse than accessing these lines of credit.
I don't know. Lottery
tickets is a good one.
Well, yeah. It would depend. It would depend. I think there's a difference between like making a bad purchase versus leveraging what could be an incredibly important asset for something that to get more money.
I think those are two different things. Otherwise
things.
Have to sell it. So if the choice is I can pawn my watch for $200 and make rent this month or get evicted, you're saying I shouldn't be able to do that when I could otherwise go and sell the watch and get it, but that I wouldn't be able to get my watch back.
Yeah, I think that selling things is different, and as much as it sucks,
I don't think so.
Okay. Wait, hold on. You're wrong. You're wrong. Chill. Hold on. You're just wrong. Okay. But
so why don't you sell your house when you need cash?
Hold on. Let me just give me 1 second. Let me just chill. Okay. You're triggering the fuck out of me. Okay. When people have access to credit, when poor people have access to credit, they view it as a separate bank account because they're fucking financially retarded. Okay. This is why I don't think poor people should have credit cards. Okay. But the issue is that if you have to sell something as a poor person, then when you sell it, it's fucking gone. Okay. There is a different thing that happens in the brain when you have to let go of something versus I can loan that, I can leverage that, I can pawn that, and I can do this. And you're trying to spin like 32 different fucking plates at the same time because you always think you're going to be able to get the money back. It's like, imagine what Uncut Gems, the movie, would look like if you had to sell shit instead of loaning it. It wouldn't be a movie. It'd be like, oh shit, I had to sell that, I'm fucked. Fuck me. And then it would end. That would be the end of the movie. Instead of like, if I pawn my car next week, even if I don't make enough money, I know that I can pawn a few rifles and then I can get the money back to get my car back and then maybe I can pawn a different, like that mindset that's like a treadmill to disaster. When you sell, this was my mindset. Here, hold on real quick. I'll finish it. Wait, I'll finish, okay? When I was really poor, I didn't have any credit card debt at all because my mindset was the worst thing that could happen to me was I lose my house. And if I lose my house, I'm either homeless for a bit or I get an apartment and then boom, I'm done. But if I would have gotten into the mindset, but that's because even though I was poor, I was never financially retarded because I had a good education. If I would have started getting credit cards and payday loans and blah, 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 dude, homelessness is not the worst thing that could happen. In my mind, the worst thing that happens is you're in a house that's about to be foreclosed on and now you've got $40,000 in outstanding debt that has high interest that you've leveraged your life-saving fucking assets on, okay? I prefer my rock bottom to be homeless, not below that, which is $40,000 in outstanding debt because I've leveraged every single asset in my life for some cash, in my opinion. Okay, go ahead.
So you're just saying people are too stupid to be able to exercise their liberties?
Yes. Yeah.
Pretty terrible government to be under.
Good. Well, that's the one that I prefer. When you're dumb and you're poor and you start fucking trying to pawn off your fucking car, the only one that you use to go to work every day, yeah, you're probably in a financially fucked situation that is compromising your ability to make good financial decisions. Yeah.
Wait. This is really cool. So I want to be able to use this. So like with the argument I had with Abba, I can say it's either my way or you think poor people are stupid. Essentially, that's what, at the end of the day, he has to agree to.
No. Wait, I want to go down a different road. So if people are too dumb to be able to make financial decisions for themselves, why are you allowed to vote then?
Your mic cut out, so I don't know what the fuck you just said.
All right, so if they're not allowed to even make their own financial decisions, why the fuck can they vote?
Okay, hold on. Firstly, when you said they're not even allowed to make their financial decisions, it's the dichotomy again of like, are they allowed to do every possible thing ever, including selling their kidneys, or can they make no financial decisions ever? That's not true. I don't know why you're presenting it that way. I don't know who you're arguing against. What I said was I think that there are certain types of predatory loan schemes that people can get hamster wheeled into, and I think payday loans and pawn shops are one of those things. Just because I don't think those two things shouldn't exist doesn't mean that no poor person can make any financial decision ever.
Yeah, I don't think that's the problem with payday loans. That's not the reason why.
What do you think is the problem?
So the biggest problem was that the way that they were set up is, let's say I take a $50 loan, right? I have to pay that back in 3 months, 3 installments of $30. I'm paying $40 of interest in those 3 months. So I have, I don't know, some triple digit rating. But what would happen is they would take all your billing information and you'd get a bill every month, $30, $30, $30. But those were late fees because you didn't set your thing up. And that's why they got sanctioned by Congress. And that's where all the issues happened. It wasn't the rate of interest was usurious. It's that the way that they were predating on people was they would take the $90 and then say, oh, by the way, you haven't made any single payment on your loan. And that's how people got caught.
That might be one part of it, but the poverty mindset is not an avid financial person that is, you know, using these payday loans in a responsible manner. That's just not what happens. They start to live on that cash like it's their own.
Because they're using it irresponsibly, everybody should be denied access to it?
Yeah, I've never in my life, I'm an anecdote Andy, and I could be wrong, but I've never in my life heard somebody use payday loans to get out of poverty and do like good shit. It almost always seems to be a vicious cycle. That was my dad who did that shit. God bless him, but holy fuck. As soon as he got that payday loan, you hand your check in advance or whatever, and they cash it later or whatever, you do shit like that, that's like his money that he has to blow. And then when payday rolls around, he doesn't even have a paycheck because he already spent through everything he had because he thought it was his own fucking money, and then now he's got to get another payday loan. And that's the type of like payday loan treadmill that I've seen. My uncle did it, my dad's done it, my grandma's friends did it. I see so many people do this. Now maybe in your community, maybe a poor person says, oh, I'm going to take a payday loan on in advance because if I pay off my rent 5 days earlier, I don't have to use the cash transfer my credit card, and it's more financially stable to do that. Maybe there are some poor people that use payday loans like that. I've never seen that. Every engagement I've seen with the payday loan is fucking terrible, but maybe you've seen different, so I could be wrong.
Well, I mean, so then we might as well just ban gambling. We should probably get rid of that. We should get rid of alcohol, tobacco. That's all extremely abusive.
Why do you, hold on. Do you understand that you're engaging in fallacious reasoning every single time you've done that, right?
Okay, so wait, how is that fallacious reasoning? These things are extremely detrimental behaviors. People get addicted to gambling all the time. All the lotto tickets, all the scratch-offs.
If you wanted to make if you wanted to,
much, if not more than
if you wanted to make a comparable thing, if you were to tell me, oh, we should get rid of like gambling on margin, then I would say, oh, I do agree with you. Kind of like the Robin Hood argument. I don't think people shouldn't be allowed to trade.
When has a payday loan killed somebody?
What?
When has a payday loan killed somebody?
I don't know. I don't know
Alcohol
if a payday loan has killed
people
someone.
That aren't involved at all. We have DUIs. We have secondhand smoke.
Okay, so it's all or nothing. It has to be every single thing or absolutely nothing.
I'm saying that everything in the payday loan, it's internalized to only the people inside that transaction. When we have those other things, not only are you hurting yourself, but you're hurting society as a large. And that those are significantly greater evils than payday loans.
We're not comparing it to every single fucking evil in the world.
Well, but if it's less evil, then why are we banning that? Not something that's more evil.
Dude, the most evil thing right now might be the edge of nuclear war with fucking Ukraine and Russia. But I don't know if I can't focus on any other problem in society because that's like the big fucking evil that we're facing right now. What do you mean? Like,
if you're saying that if payday loans are evil enough that people shouldn't take them, there's other things that are just
there probably are other things too. If you want to talk about gambling on margin or gambling with a credit thing or whatever, I probably disagree with that as well. Yeah, I don't think you should ever be allowed to do that. Like take credit loans or take a margin or whatever at a casino to gamble, for sure. But there's something special that happens in a person's brain when they're given cash that's not theirs. They spend it like it is theirs. That's why I don't like poor people using credit cards, treat credit card balances like it's a debit card balance, and they just spend it like it's money they have when it isn't. But that's just my personal engagement with it. Maybe you've seen people use it in a positive way. Like,
okay, so all right, so then fine. If you're saying that they're not able to make these financial decisions, then why are they able to make financial decisions for the country by voting? Like it's the same thing, but on a bigger.
Okay, they should have infinite freedom to do whatever they want. Do you think poor people should be able to sell kidneys? And if you say no, I'm going to say, so a poor person can sacrifice their whole body by joining the military, but they can't sacrifice just their kidney for a payment?
Isn't the fair argument to this?
Wait, hold on. I need to address real quick. Fuck. While you guys do this, I'll be back 1 second.
I don't have necessarily a problem with organ or non-essential organ markets, no.
I think the fair answer to this question would be, I assume what you would say, the appropriate answer to this is that I think poor people should be able to do exactly anything a rich person can do. Yeah. So if a rich person can go and gamble, then a poor person can do it. If a rich person can go and lose all their money with some crazy fucking loan, then a poor person should be able to do the same thing. I think that's fair. I don't think that we...
He turned his cam off, he just rage quit.
Oh, you got him.
No, but seriously, I don't understand what's the difference is pulling out money against an asset that's much larger and then versus pulling off an asset that's smaller. Like there's fundamentally no difference besides the ability.
Listen, I think the only time capitalism is wrong is when there's monopolies that come into place, because then that stops the market from interfering correctly. That's like one of the only times I really believe that things need to, like, so for instance, if everyone had a fucking Apple iPhone and there was no Android, and they used their fucking power to like cock block any other new startup, I think that's for sure not good at all.
Sure.
But yeah, I think you have to let poor people make decisions that might come back to fuck them.
Yeah, well, I guess another example is extending microcredit to places in Africa and places like that that wouldn't otherwise be serviced because it's too expensive. When you go to get a bank loan to start a business, they do hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars depending on what size of loan that you're getting, but you can't get that. And so that it would just deny all the developing nations access to credit, which is something that they need. It just doesn't make sense. Yeah, you're gonna have to pay a higher rate of interest, but that just comes from the loans being smaller or being uncollateralized or harder to recoup. So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. But I mean, I'm not arguing against this. That's homeboy here. What type
So
of
then,
organ hard?
I heard Redact got bought out by Usco Privacy, I think.
Yep. Yeah, it's pretty good. You know, they're gonna
Nice.
take it to levels that I wasn't able to do, so that's exciting.
Yeah. Cash or equity deal.
I
I'm
really,
not sure.
I don't want to.
You can't talk. Okay, that's
I
fine.
no,
Yeah.
I just don't want to discuss it.
Okay, I'm back. I'm less triggered.
Okay, welcome back.
Okay, I'm personally compromised because I've watched payday loans destroy the lives of like so many of my family members who all suck at managing debt. They're all horrible at it. Every time I've seen them, my sister's done this, had multiple foreclosures. I think my parents have done this. I've lived through multiple foreclosures of houses, and I've never seen somebody juggle payday loans effectively. It's always just come back to bite them in the ass, and it ends up on the balance sheet of like a Chapter 7 or a Chapter 13 bankruptcy or Chapter 11.
Okay, real quick, Ragepope, because you've been at this. Can I just ask Steve? So, do you think we should have two classes of laws for poor people and rich people? Meaning, rich people can go do like crazy loans if they want to because they know what's going on, but poor people.
I mean, it just depends on what's going on. It's kind of like here's something that Ragepope would probably defend. I think in order to get access to certain, there are certain
accredited investments.
Yes, to be an accredited investor. Yeah, that's like a
See,
thing, right?
hey, we're in line. See,
I think the bar for accredited investor is way too high. Yeah, I think it's fundamentally unfair that people are locked out of where some of the greatest gains are, especially if they have the willingness to.
Well, some of the greatest gains and some of the
greatest risks.
Sure, but as long as they have the ability to know the investment. So, for instance, if I started a company with Dan and we did a software development company and we had Cake on as a developer, he's not allowed to purchase equity in the company until it reaches a certain level, even if he's a core member of the team.
Well, hold on, wait. You can dole out equity to him. He doesn't have to purchase it.
No.
What do you mean?
Let's say you wanted to buy more. We're going to give him 5%, but we say, hey, we need $1 million. And Cake's like, you know what? I got 50K saved up. I'd like to buy, some of the equity in because I'm a member of this company. I understand what the business does and I know what it's going to do. He's not allowed to because he's not accredited. So they relax the bar a little bit, but it's fundamentally unfair to say to people that may be knowledgeable in the field that you're not allowed to make these type of investments because you're not a millionaire. Because you're not making $200,000 a year for the past 2 years, you're just fundamentally unsuited to make these type of investments in businesses.
If Cake wanted to buy $1 million into a thing, and he hasn't made $200,000,
even $1, he has to. If he wants to buy any equity that's not publicly traded, he wants to be in one of these private offerings. He has to either be worth $1 million, excluding the value of his primary residence. So his house, if he has a house, doesn't count. Any equity he has doesn't count for it. Or he has to make $200,000 a year by himself for 2 years and have the expectation to keep making that. Or he has to make $300,000 a year with his spouse, if he has one for the last 2 years, with the expectation to make it to participate in any of this. If you want to be in any pre-IPO company, if you want to be involved in any hedge funds or those type of investments, you must meet those definitions, which is fundamentally excluding poor people from or even moderately wealthy people from participating in a very, very interesting part of the market.
Interesting is one way to put it.
Yeah,
sure.
So most of the gains you get greater returns in private equity because people don't have access to those markets.
I mean, it's very much.
Wait, hold on, stop! You get greater returns on private equity because people don't have access to those markets. But the majority of the greater return is coming from the risk, not from the fact that the market is exclusive.
Sure, but if I'm a private equity fund, I don't care if I get $1 million from one guy or 20 guys or 50 guys putting in $20,000 or $50,000 each. Those people aren't allowed to put in $20,000 or $50,000 into my private equity fund, and then I go out and buy 500 businesses.
Sure, I'm just saying
not
that,
allowed to
like, sure,
participate.
but I'm just saying that, hold on, just the other thing, I don't know why you gave that answer, because that had nothing to do with my contention with what you just said. You made it sound like you're making it sound like there's this private market where you can just, if you're wealthy, you can throw a ton of money into it and make a ton of money
Sure, but you
off
can't
of
buy
it.
the individual companies either. And yes, yeah, that's where most people end up going. Because there's a ton of money to be made, because it's not as efficient, because there's not as many people participating, because there's the barrier put in there.
Yeah, but I doubt that the returns are, you know what? I doubt the returns are even better than any mainstream, like, market fund. I bet that's not true.
Oh, okay. I mean, you're wrong, but yeah.
So you're telling me, because I have a net worth of $1 million, I can go and find this amazing private equity fund and just throw my money in and start getting, what, 15, 20% of my money? No shot. I would bet my whole life on that. I know that's wrong. Over a long period of time, there's just no shot. Because every single moderately wealthy middle-class person will be dumping all of their fucking money into these private equity funds if it was that easy. I'm sure there are some really risky ones that over maybe 5 years have made like a killer on like certain sectors of the economy. But there's no way that you can just, that there's just like, oh, I can just dump money in this crazy private equity fund. I'm making 15% of my money. No shot.
So if
I
I could,
disagree.
okay, well, I don't know. I don't think it's fair. But like AngelList is like AngelList is a platform where startups can list themselves, and you can browse through it. And if you find something that's interesting, you can invest in that company. You know, depending on if they're raising or not. So like you might be able to list like, hey, I'm creating a Wix for streamers, and you know, my name's Destiny, and I've been a streamer for 20 years, and I have all the, you know, you put all that stuff there, and you're like, this is what I'm doing, and I want to raise $1 million. You put all that stuff there, and people that are interested in your project, like for instance, you have probably a lot of people in your audience that would like be like, holy shit, like, you know, that's actually a really good idea. I'd like to invest some money into this project because I think it will be successful, and I'd like to have some equity in it. Like you could actually do this. Like what we're saying right now, like this is a good idea. You could go and you could do this, and you could raise money from your audience as a result of that. And the downside of this is that you can't get people who are not accredited to invest. But I think now there is some sort of way.
Reg crowdfunding.
Yeah, that there's a crowdfunding regulation where you can get money in now. But I don't know.
Well, crowdfunding is different because
$1 million.
crowdfunding, you don't usually dole out any equity, right?
No, I
Yes,
think
you do. Yeah, with
can
reg
get equity now.
crowdfunding, you can get up to $5 million from non-accredited investors. That's their response to the crypto stuff for the most part.
So that might be something you might want to, unironically, would you ever do this DGG in a box thing and get money from your audience to do it? Or is
No,
that
that's
too much
fucking
pressure?
cringe. Nothing is more cringe to me than wealthy people try to tap poor people for investments in their business.
Well, no, the idea is that you could create a company that is worth something and, you know, have them have a positive investment. Like you're not doing this to
Or you
milk
can do
them.
like most people and just milk them. Just get a $500 million valuation by selling them 1% of a low
No, I mean,
valuation
you could
company.
be fair. You could say, hey, listen, you guys know what I'm building. You know what my website is. I want to offer that to more people. Here's my business plan to, you know, make a lot of money. And, you know, I think this thing is worth $1 million. So if you know, I'm trying to raise 500K, so you guys will own half of the company. If you put I think that's fair. But you wouldn't do
Sure,
it.
but you
though.
can do it in fair and unfair ways. And most of what I've seen coming through reg crowdfunding has just been a way to milk retail. But it's neither here nor there.
You wouldn't have to milk them, though, Steve.
Oh, yeah,
could,
you don't have to. Yeah, sure.
But it sounds like you would want to milk them.
Me? No.
Well, that's what most people do. They just want to make as much
If I would
money
do
as
that, we would just
possible,
start
and then
DGG
sell
coin,
it.
dude.
True, yeah. You should do Pepe coin, Yi coin, and DGG coin.
True. And the price, they could war with each other.
Yeah. So whenever Pepe wins, they get awarded Yi tokens to dump into the market to crash the price of them. So yeah, it'd be a giant Ponzi scheme all in one.
Well, actually, that's a good thing someone brought up. You want to build a fucking media company, and that's really expensive. Are you against the idea of having equity holders in that media company? Or maybe you have 30% owned by, you know, your chatters and other investors and things like that? Would you never do that?
I have no idea. It would depend on the cost of everything and how it's structured.
Well, I mean, let's say that today someone's like, hey, you want to do a media company? I'll give you $1 million, but I want 30%. How would you react to that if I just told you that today?
Probably not.
Really? You wouldn't take $1 million for 30%?
30% equity in a company that I could build? No, fuck no. That's huge. I'm getting fucked. If it becomes anything, I'm like, that person just fucking struck gold.
Wow.
He's
That's
a gambler's fallacy.
super interesting.
Wait,
You
hold
say
on.
that.
No, if I were to build a media company and it would be successful,
Well, that's the key. If
and
it's
I've
going to
given
be
away
successful.
1/3 of the 30% equity for $1 million?
Oh my
So
god.
you don't even know if it's going to be successful, one. and two, you're not putting your own capital at risk for it.
Yeah, I'm shocked that you're this, like, I would never,
It would
I'm
never
amazed.
fail.
Yeah, no, I would never do this. No, not even. This sounds like a fucking Dragon's Den fucking finance
Oh
rate
my god,
segment.
you're actually delusional.
1/3. No, you would never do this. I know you wouldn't. No
This
shot.
is a $3 million valuation for a company that hasn't got a single click on it.
That has nothing. Has nothing.
It's
You
backed
wouldn't
up
take it-
by an incredibly large content creator that drives over like 15 million views like a month for the past 3 months to his YouTube page. I'm not selling a fucking media company 1/3 of it for $1 million preemptively. That sounds like the dumbest thing in the world. If that company's
Well, sure,
successful,
but how
like
much
the
would you
company
sell
easily
this?
has the potential to like be worth like what, like 8 figures, like theoretically in a relatively short amount of time, in less than like 5 years, maybe not 5, probably less than 10 years. Why
Yeah,
would you
what's
give
the
away $1
burnout rate of
million
all these
for
media
30? Wait, what?
I mean, what's the burnout rate on all these companies? And
The burnout rate is
saying
probably
we'll
high,
take
but I don't
$1
know if I would need $1 million investment right off the bat to get a company like that off the ground. Like, if I didn't want to fund it myself and I needed some capital to get things started, I imagine like less than $250,000 would be plenty to do whatever I would need to do. And I would either self-fund that or find somebody that doesn't want to rate me for 30% equity in a fucking company for $1 million. Like, what would $1 million help me off the bat? Like, what, hire out a whole bunch of talent and watch everything crash and burn because I try to scale up way too quickly? Like, no.
So the logic
Or
is
I would just
that-
get a personal loan for $1 million?
The logic, first off, I completely disagree with you. But the logic here is that your $1 million immediately makes your company worth at least $1 million on day one. And also the velocity that you would have with that money would make it that in 10 years, your company, instead of being worth 8 million, maybe, might be worth 80 million because
Okay,
you're able
wait,
to,
hold on. Firstly, it doesn't make my company worth 1 million immediately. I don't know why you think that.
Yeah, 100%.
So there's $1 million in assets.
Assuming I don't spend any of the money? What?
On day one, the company is worth
Okay,
$1 million.
you are technically correct, Dan, that if somebody loans a company $1 million and they stick that money in the bank and don't spend it, the company is indeed worth $1 million. But
I
would
don't know why you're being very. This is how it's done. That's
No,
the valuation
no.
of the company.
That's not how it's done. Hold
Bet me
on.
money. Bet me money. Any amount.
That's
No, what's not how it's
if
done
it's-
is...
if
Oh, no,
you have
shut the
a
fuck
business
up.
with
Oh my
people-
god! You guys are both tricking me with the most technically correct but most retarded arguments I've ever heard in my entire life. If you're loaning a company money, the goal is not to put the money in a fucking bank account for the valuation of the company. The goal is to take that money and
It's not
spend
a
it on
goal.
something. And if I take that money and I spend it on building a website, on hiring talent, on paying for fucking shows and shit, then I don't have assets to show for the fucking money that I spent. The goal is to create some revenue generating aspect of the business that will be worth money in the future. So yes, if you loan me $1 million and I stick it in the bank
not-
immediately, then yes, technically the
not
company's worth $1 million immediately, but that money's going to be
not a
spent
loan.
really fast because that's the point of getting the fucking investment.
no, it's not a loan. You just have the $1 million.
What do you do with the $1 million, Ragepope?
You spend it.
Yes,
You're no
that's the
longer-
point, and then you no longer have the money.
It's not a loan. It's not a debt on your books. It's $1 million of cash to do whatever the fuck you want. It's not like, oh shit, when I get this money back, I need to make sure I pay back my capital investor $1 million.
If let's say that I get $1 million investment in my company, and then I
Yes.
take that $1 million and I spend $1 million for Lav to produce one live stream to talk about whether or not she's going to do OnlyFans again, and then what is my company worth the day after?
$0.
Thank you. That's what I'm trying to say.
Where the IP is. But if it was a loan, then your company would be worth negative $1 million because you still owe that guy $1 million, and there's a fundamental difference.
Yeah, of course there's a fundamental difference, but like I would just because you loan a company some amount of money doesn't mean that it automatically has that valuation into forever
Yeah.
period of time. Because if you start spending that money, obviously the assets of the company are going to change.
Well, yeah, but hopefully you're generating IP worth equal to or greater than the amount of money that you're spending
Hopefully,
on
yeah, of
generating that
course.
IP by hiring people.
Okay.
Yes.
So
True.
that's kind of the logic. The idea is that if I'm investing in your company, first off, I'm not loaning you $1 million. I'm giving you $1 million. And then the assumption is that you're going to take that $1 million
And make more money with it. Yeah, of course.
No, well, not make more money, but make the asset that I've given you worth more than $1 million. So that's why the valuation bar gets set at $1 million. I've given you this. And
Yeah,
you're
but
gonna
we're
turn
not
it into
talking
more.
like real estate here. The assets are a lot less tangible, right? You're talking about a media company. We're talking intellectual property. I could take $1 million and spend that and create a website that is only worth $100,000. That might be the case at the end of it, right?
I understand,
Yes, yeah.
but you can only go off of guidelines of, for instance, off of the IRS, right? Like, what are they going to value your company at the end of the day? Once I invest that $1 million into you, regardless if it's a failure or a success, until your next round of financing, the valuation of your company is going to be $1 million because I've invested $1 million into you. Obviously, the value of your company is going to be based on the success because the valuation is determined specifically by how much someone is willing to pay for it at any point in time. And on day one, the value of your company is going to be the $1 million because you have $1 million in the bank. On day 100, it's a lot different story, right? Because it could be you have 800K in the bank and you've spent 200K on a website, but the website's actually only worth like 100K. So maybe now the valuation is 900K, or maybe it's worth a lot. It's taken off, and now your valuation is higher. But essentially, the valuation can only be set by the dollar amount at the start. That's the baseline, and it can change and fluctuate based on what someone's willing to pay. I mean, but yeah.
Okay. Drew?
Why are you laughing?
I don't know. I'm just...
Listen, this all, I think, kind of
Well, because
started...
he just thinks that the $1 million is going to fund whatever, and he can fund $1 million, and that's why it's not worth whatever chunk of the business that he's giving.
Just a 30% chunk for $1 million. That's such a huge chunk to give away.
You're doing a $3.3 million company just by your name being attached to it.
I have a decently big name.
Actually, that's the real thing.
Like,
So
not to jerk myself off, but like the hardest part about getting any
No, that's fine to say that your valuation of yourself is different, but to say that a company with no IP, no whatever, the only thing you're adding your name on in the principal is worth more than $3 million. That's fine. That's fair to say, but
you can value things as you would want to. But for me personally, if I was to start a business, I would not want to start, if I'm throwing a lot of my time and effort and leveraging connections and everything into running a business, I personally wouldn't want to give away a third of that business right off the bat for $1 million.
Sure.
Because, like, let's say, for instance, that business grows into something that's, we'll say in 5 years, it explodes and it's worth like $10 or $15 million. I've lost 1/3 of that equity because I needed $1 million in the beginning.
Sure, but let's say you needed more money to start. Maybe you needed $10 million, or maybe you want to
Sure,
give
if
away
I
less.
needed
Maybe
money
you want
to
give away
start.
10% for,
Sure.
Would you give away 10% for $1 million?
10% for $1 million early on, it depends, maybe. But more likely, yeah. 10% is way less than 30%.
Oh, well, I guess the real question is, what do you value this media company right now?
What do you value your name being attached to a media company?
No.
If I was launching a media company.
Hold on, Ragepope. You want to start a media company, and you're going to do it eventually. What do you value that right now today?
Today is nothing. I don't even know 100%.
Okay, let's say you're going to start tomorrow. You're going to start figuring it out, putting some, Google Docs together. What's that? And you've registered the LLC. What's the valuation of that if Dan comes, or not even Dan, let's say Dan's neighbor comes to you and is like, hey, man, I want to give you whatever money you want. What do you think is a fair valuation? I can give you 100K, I can give you 5 million, 20 million, or I can give you 20K. Up to you. How much of the company you want to give me for how much? What do you think would be?
So if I were to start the business right now, like
right
theoretically
now.
tomorrow,
Yep.
it's like, what do they call it? Data with wide tails? I don't know, dude. I'm not sure. Like you're saying, the problem is that here's the issue, okay? I don't know. I can fund everything that I need to in the beginning, so I don't need to raise funding. So it's hard for me to think of like, how much equity would I give away to get money that I don't need? That's
it's about the idea of you having zero personal financial risk. Let's assume this thing could
yeah,
take
but like up to
$500,000.
like 250K, I would probably want to assume 100% financial risk because the payoff is potentially huge.
Well, let's step back. Let's say that you didn't have any money and you were trying to raise from people, right? And you needed to go out and raise money to start this.
Oh, that's a way different.
Why should your audience not be able to participate in that raise?
This is like a 12 times different question.
Yeah, I think that is different from what we're saying right here. I'm just trying to get an idea of the valuation. So to you, if we can assume, hold on. If we can assume that here's
my general brain where I'm at. Okay, if I personally, Stephen Bonnell Destiny, where I'm at in my life right now, if I was starting a company, and you could tell me why I'm wrong, I don't know why. For $1 million or less, I feel like I would always want to debt fund versus equity fund it. That's what I.
Okay,
that's
so in my opinion, I don't think you could get debt to do that.
Why not?
I don't think because I think you would be a tremendous risk. You would have to sign personally to get that.
Well, yeah, of course. Sure. Yeah, I would secure it with my own finances.
So the reason that you wouldn't do that is the same reason I think that you wouldn't do it yourself is because most businesses fail, right? And when you assume that most businesses fail, you are taking a huge gamble. So instead of, let's just say that you could give yourself a $10 million valuation or whatever it is, instead of you taking half of your net worth, like 500K, and dumping it into this company just to save that 10%, instead you would just go say, fuck it, you can have 10%, and I have no risk. If this thing fails, I still have all of my money. But to you think it's better to be so greedy that you keep that 10% in lieu of losing half of your net worth. That's why you would do this. It's insurance essentially on
I don't know if I'm
your
already
life.
an incredibly successul like online business entity. I don't know if
You could
how
lose
much
half your money. You could lose half your money if we
would-
assume that it would take $500,000 to start this company. To hire the
if
people.
you stack enough hypotheticals, you can break my mind such that I'll agree with you. But I don't need to
I'm
spend
just
500.
saying one hypothetical, 500K. That's it. The one
Yeah,
hypothetical.
that
We wanna
hypothetical is
start-
unbelievable. I can't imagine that I need to pour $500,000 into something to get it off the ground. I could fucking start a media company with WordPress right now if I needed to, and I could hire 3 writers for probably $500 a month. So
Okay,
the idea that I need to dump
that's
a
not
half.
a media company. That's a fucking blog that talks about cats. Okay?
What do you think a news site is?
No, here,
It's a.
here.
It's
I
a.
mean,
It's
the
a.
reporters that go to
See-
fucking like the Senate and shit like that, not fucking doing Twitch streams.
The MVP for
let's
dude. How many
rephrase this.
people are writing fucking Substacks that are generating more clicks right now than on some days CNN? Of course you can get companies like that off the ground. The content is so much more important than the infrastructure around it. If you have really good, it's like entertainment on YouTube. Or like Tyler One is a shitty microphone and a shitty webcam, and the guy pulls 20, 30,000 viewers a day. Why? It's because of his content. It's not because he invested a fuck ton of money into a whole bunch of superfluous fucking flowery
I'm not
shit to
saying
surround shit.
that
So
you
if you had really,
can't
if you,
do it.
sure, I'm just saying that the MVP for a media company isn't $500,000. It's probably like $5,000 a month, if that, right? There's products that I can get off the ground that wouldn't require a $500,000 startup investment that I'd probably want to test on smaller investments first before I go all in on it, of course.
I guess I just feel like there's some very insane. I mean, I guess this should make sense for me. You own your car outright and you have no insurance. Or sorry, you only have liability on it, correct?
True, yeah.
I feel like there's something actually mentally deficient with you. And I think that's why we're going back here, is that you have no understanding of what insurance is for. So I can't wait until some fucking dude in like a 1988 fucking Camry smashes into your shit and they have a 5K deductible. That is.
No.
Well, let's see. Hold on. Actually,
everything
let's
here.
do. Let's do the math right now. Okay, I pay $40 a month for my insurance. I want to say it was $250 a month for full coverage. Does that sound right on a $40,000 car? So
Sounds about right.
I think so. If I would have been paying $200 a month times, it's a 2017, 2016 car. I've had it for what? So I've had that car for what, 5 or 6 years? Mm-hmm. So we'll say times 6 years times 12. So I've already saved $14,500 on insurance.
Mm-hmm. And what's your car worth right now?
Minus the odds of you getting in an accident over that period of time.
Well, I
that
haven't.
too.
So
Well, just because you haven't doesn't mean it's
coming.
not a thing. That's
definitely
literally
coming.
why insurance happens.
The way you drive, for sure, that's coming.
maybe not. No, well, hold on. I'm 33 years old. I've driven more than most people. I've never been in an accident where I've been at fault or even gotten hit by anybody else in my life. I mean, I guess it's possible, but that's
Do you think
15 grand that I have
Do you
right
think
now.
that's the average?
Wait, it doesn't matter if you're at fault.
I'm not
If you
the
get some-
average. I'm above average in everything I do.
It doesn't matter because some dipshit without insurance smashes
No,
into you.
that's why I have a high performance car. I'm looking at all angles at all points of time. If people try to crash into me, I
you know,
dodge
all
it.
right, you motherfucker.
Find me,
Okay.
Dan. Find me. Come down here, Western Brickell. Try to crash into me. I want you to
I'll
stalk
get
my
you at
car.
a stop sign. I'll get
Do
you at a
it.
stop
Yeah,
sign
do
when
it.
you're stopped.
I look.
and you,
I see. When I see people approaching at a stop sign, I'll gash it. I'll get out of the way, Dan. I
And then
dodge
you'll
them.
smash into someone, and
I
then you
won't
will be
smash
at
into them.
fault. You
I keep
will.
enough space in front of me at all points in time so I can dodge cars recklessly coming from behind.
Yeah, you-
I'm checking all my mirrors, all my corners constantly,
gonna
Dan.
kill you.
I always have enough space to escape. I can get out of anything, Dan. Try to fucking
No.
find me, crash into me. I'll fucking dodge every time, Dan.
I will
Come
get
and
you
find
when
me.
there's a car in front of you and behind you. You're in the McDonald's fucking line. I'm gonna come from above, literally on top of you. You will
Dan,
not
just
check above you.
find
I will
me.
fucking
Just
take
find
a
me.
ramp.
Parking
Find me,
lot.
Dan.
Just hit him in his parking lot and then just drive away.
Oh, that's right. I'm gonna get you when you're not even in the car. What
I'm
now,
in a garage.
motherfucker?
It's got security on the outside. You can't get in without a fucking pay thing.
You got nothing. I'm gonna. You have to sleep sometime, motherfucker. I'm watching for when the stream is on. I'm gonna first off, I'm gonna check. I'm gonna see if you're there and be like, "Hey, Destiny, what's up?" And if you respond to me, I'm going out there and smashing into that fucking thing with a semi. Boom.
All right. Well, if I see a semi trying to get in my parking garage, okay, I'll concede to you. Okay.
Okay. But anyways, I think that's just you're just insane. You have no idea of insurance. It's like, oh, I can easily spend 200K. Why would I give up 1% of my company for 200K when I could just do it myself? Well, that's kind of like an insurance thing. Personally, I would do that, but I understand that you're insane. I guess
Now we're
that's what it
talking
is.
10% for 2 million, whereas before
It's
Dad was
all-
saying
it's all
30%
numbers.
for
You-
1
you-
million.
you
Yeah, it
won't
is all
even give me
numbers.
any of them. All right, so where
It's
is
all
it? Where's the
numbers, of
line?
course
I
it's all
asked
numbers.
You stupid fuck. Give
No,
me the number. What your
obvious. If
imaginary
somebody says, I wanna-
non-existent Google Doc is worth. What is it?
You are so fucking retarded. Of
No,
course
you-
it's all
no,
numbers,
no,
Dan.
you, no,
Dan, if you would
you.
ask me, if somebody wanted to buy 1% equity in your company for $1 billion, would you do it? Obviously, the answer is fucking
All right,
yes.
so what's the fucking number, you degenerate?
I don't know what the number would be, but 30% at 1 million, I'd wipe my ass with that cash, Dan. I would just fuck your mom 500,000 times with $1 million, okay?
I'm gonna tell her. I'm telling her you said that.
Do it,
Let's say
good.
we have your number. Let's say we have your number in your head for what amount you want to give away for whatever amount of money. Why does chat not have a right to participate in that sale, and why can only Dan do it because he's accredited?
Well, the right
When chat
would have
knows-
to do with the fact that they probably don't know enough whether or not they should invest in it, right? Like, I could
What do
probably...
you mean? They know way more the fuck about you than some random investor. That
It's
you're gonna
because
be pulling
I
up
know
to.
Steven has a high likelihood of scamming me. Chat is oblivious.
Yeah,
and
I
they
could
think
I
you
could
do the right
crowdfund
thing.
off of my just chat and scam the fuck out of all of them, and they're too stupid to even know what's going on. Look how many people invested in
you-
Ice Poseidon's
you can't.
rug pull coin.
Well, because that's not a security. They're not gated by the
Well,
same
isn't
things,
that what
or,
the
well, they are, but
FE
it's
or
not
the
legal.
SEC is starting to change?
Oh, I
Sorry,
mean,
whoops.
surely in the next 10 or 15 years, I'm sure that they'll do it. I mean, they're just now starting to charge like 2017, explicit scam coins and not things that are investment contracts. So I'm sure we'll get clarity in the next decade. But you can't do that for your startup business.
Interesting.
It really makes me think. All I know is the more that I hang around you, the more I have to realize that you're broken. Okay, and you know some of the. I'm not going to talk about them now. But you know, what are we watching? I don't know.
That's the DBZ thing. Sorry, you were about to rant at me because I care about numbers.
Okay.
I can't believe you. You think I'm a street whore, Dan?
$1 million for a Google Doc. Okay,
A street whore. 30% equity. 30%.
All right, what about if it was 10 million?
Yeah, I definitely consider that for sure.
All right, well that's still 30%, you stupid fuck.
Yeah, but at 10 million, you're giving me a $30 million valuation on a company, not $3 million.
Yeah, but it could be worth 8 figures someday, 10 figures.
That's
and
fine.
30%
Okay,
is
you're already
gone.
valuing it at
It's
8
gonna be
figures. If it's
fine.
$10 million,
Oh,
Dan, $10
stupid
million
Jesus.
at 30% is already valuation on like $33 million
Yeah,
for
I
the
said
company.
10, it's the next Facebook, okay? It's the biggest company ever coming. And you gave up 30% like a fucking idiot. What were you thinking?
Well,
That was
30%,
nothing.
10 million? You believe in me at least. $10 million? Yeah, I definitely, yeah, probably. I'd probably go
Oh
with that.
my-
I'd probably just
oh
do that,
my
yeah.
God.
And then I try to buy you back, a year in or something, but yeah, if it's going well. You don't think there's a big... Hold on. I just want to point out how fucking stupid. You don't think there's a difference between somebody coming up to me and offering me Destiny, I'm going to buy 30% of your future business for 1 million versus 10 million? You don't think
Okay,
the order of magnitude difference there is going to be a huge factor in whether or not I accept that offer?
All right, so here's all the pieces to it. There is a high likelihood of this not being as big as you think.
Sure.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it's possible.
I would say that most odds this will not be an 8-figure company.
Maybe.
Agree or disagree? No, maybe is not the answer. It's a number time, motherfucker.
I don't know when I'm in the position
I
that
know
I
you
started.
don't know.
Dan,
What do
I
you
might
think
be
the
on
chances
Joe
are?
Rogan in 2 months, okay? Sipping back Hennessy. What's the name of it? Fuck, there's a Hennessy?
Hennessy?
Fuck. Yeah, that.
Cognac?
Yeah, cognac. A mixture, a hybrid between the two that Joe Rogan has created just for me and Jordan Peterson to sip on. Okay, I might have special talent, Dan, in the DMT dimension when me and Joe go smoke that you don't even know about. Okay, so at that point, yeah, I'm gonna value my chances
This
really high.
is not fair because you won't give a fucking number. You can't say, well, I don't know.
I already
well, yeah,
said
no
10
shit.
million, 30%. I'd consider
He's
it.
a gambler.
No,
He's a
that's not what
gambler.
I'm saying. What I'm
Oh, Dan, he's a
asking
gambler.
you,
He has his
stupid
lotto ticket.
fuck. I'm
Because
I
asking
don't
you-
gamble. I'm investing in myself. It's not
No,
a
that's-
gamble.
You're literally
I'm-
gambling.
I understand that you don't know if you'll be on Rogan. You don't know if you'll get married to fucking Joe Biden. Okay, you literally don't know. But what I'm asking you is, what do you think out of 100 odds? Okay, what do you think out of that 100 odds that in 1 year from now, if you started the media company today, that company would be worth 8 figures?
The problem is that it's the investment that I make is going to be conditional on the success of the company. If I'm investing $500,000 in that company, then the chances
Yeah,
that
let's
it's going to
say-
go
yeah, let's
big
say you
are
did it.
really
It'd be
high
great if it
because
was
I'm not
unconditional
investing
investment,
$500,000 in some failing shit. It'd probably be a way lower investment. I'd probably cut it off at like fucking $50,000 or something if shit was like fucked and wasn't doing anything.
Okay, do you think there is any chance that if you spent $50K and it was going to fail, that it may have succeeded if you had $1 million?
No.
Really?
Yep.
No. Just no.
Correct. No, exactly. Yes, true.
You're a dumb fuck.
I have
You're a dumb
access
fuck.
to so much money. I can get money if I need to. I can debt finance if I need to. I can probably beg people like you for equity if I need to.
Yeah, but if it's not working at 50K, you might be, fuck it, I don't want to borrow money against my shit. It's not working.
I'll be able to tell if it's an absolute fucking failure at 50K. It's not like, damn, if I just had $1 million, I could turn this whole shit around.
Absolute failure.
The Mixer model.
Oh
my God.
It's a little. You know, you're just so fucking stupid. You're dumb.
Mixer just needed another 50 million, and they could have done it, dude. They just needed a little bit more. Own just need another 10 million infusion. They could have done it.
Yeah, they probably did.
They just needed one more. Everybody's just one round of funding away from their business failure being a fucking success.
God, you're just so dumb. How can I fix you? This is why the women like you so much. Because it's just that they look at you and they're like, he's so stupid. And if
Dan is coming out like he just fucking took the whole like creativity kit course, trying to give us fucking investment advice. Jesus Christ.
God, it's so I want you to see.
This is a real war room energy, Dan.
I can fix you. I can do it, but I can't. You don't. God. It's just nothing can be done. It's just, you're just delusional. Really. That's
$1 million is like that's a pretty cool amount of money. $10 million.
That's like almost a guaranteed success.
No,
is what it is. With your name attached to it, it's almost a guaranteed success if you work hard.
Wrong.
If you wanted to start a media company tomorrow and just put your name on it and then pay you to be a consultant, a senior consultant, how much would that cost?
How much would I charge somebody to be a senior consultant on a project like that? How much?
Yeah, Dan's media company.
What is the time investment you're asking for me? What does it mean? Do you want like a meeting like twice a month, or do you want like a daily?
I want 4 hours a day.
Yeah.
4 hours a day.
Every day.
No, only on weekdays.
No, every day.
It's a big 6-figure contract. I don't know. I don't have to think, but it's going to be a big. Yeah.
That's less the equity that they're giving you to buy into your media company.
Oh, you just got shut down.
And then I own all the equity.
No. Okay, hold on. What you just said was so stupid. You're trying to say that if I would make a big 6-figure thing, being a consulting person to a company that is raising equity, that I might as well just fucking take the investment because that's what they're paying me? But the difference is if I don't have them doing the equity investment, then I would be earning 100% of the money from that company anyway. No, so you're not right. You didn't make a good point. You made no point.
What? No. I'm saying that if I'm paying you to do all the same things that you're doing for your own company, but I own all the equity, you're taking less money than if I just gave you the $1 million up front for 30%.
Yeah, but I would never take the $1 million up front for 30% because if I'm the one that has 100% of equity in my business, I'm earning 100% of the revenue. Why would I give up 30% of all the future revenues to take a big 6-figure paycheck when I can just earn 100% of the revenue and keep all the money that's generated instead of like risking the business? Like the only time your model makes sense is if the business fails completely, then I've managed to suck some of the fucking equity out of that company in the form of a private compensation to me, and then the investor loses out and the company goes down.
I'm sorry, I've changed my mind. The accredited investor limit needs to go up to beyond whatever Steve's net worth is to higher than that so that he cannot do it anymore. I'm sorry.
Okay. What do I know? I don't know about it. I don't know about anything. You're right. I'm just a fucking I'm a retard. I'm retarded, Dan. I'm retarded. I just need $1 million and we can make company work, Dan. I'm retarded.
I'm just saying, your face and name.
Investor, the WeWork guy.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. You know what?
Just give me $1 million and stick my name in that one picture from the Wired article with my eyes looking up. Just put those things on it and give me the money, and it's guaranteed to work. Daily Wire 2.0. Yeah.
We forgot. You're long on Meta. Gosh, you know, see, I forgot.
We don't know if I'm wrong on Meta. That's a 12-month investment, Dan.
You're long.
I am long on Meta.
Yeah, you are. Yeah. Real long until the next dimension.
It's coming back. You guys are just going to be mad when Zuck figures out that VR. He's going to get those legs working and kicking. There's going to be toes wiggling on that fucking avatar. And you guys are going to be like, oh, shit. And you're going to watch that stock price shoot through the roof.
The only
it's
way
going
that
to
shit goes
he's
high,
going to the Meta moon, okay?
The only way that shit goes high is if it turns into the most immersive porn shit ever, and then I'll spend all day.
Yeah, it might.
There.
You're going to see fucking Zuckerberg, Meta, and fucking announce a partnership, and you're going to be like, oh, no.
And I can't wait to share my Facebook profile at the same time.
True.
Oh, God, you remember when fucking porn sites did that? They would have the Facebook share fucking icon. Like, what are you thinking? Who wants to do this? That I'm on the, like, you know, gee, just come on. Anyways.
All the OnlyFans girls, they were just ahead of their time.
Yeah, you know, it's a damn shame. It is what it is. Well, I feel like we've.
You just try to trigger the fuck.
No. Let's go back. So let's say.
No. You gotta know when to move on, Ragepope. You got it. That's a nice ending.
I just want him to answer
You're
the
just-
question. So
You're
we found your number. We found your number, whatever that magic number is for equity and dollar amount. Why does Dan have the right to invest, but your audience doesn't have the right? Or let's just say some guy who has no idea what the fuck you do, some 90-year-old boomer who's got billions of dollars, isn't media savvy at all, doesn't know how to read. Why does he have the right to invest in you, but your audience can't?
Because he's earned the right to take a bigger risk, because that's what the government's decided.
So everything the government's decided is fine then.
You got, yes! Correct! Even when slavery was around, the government can make no bad decisions, Ragepope. Correct. Bring back internment camps from World War II. You're right. The government can make no wrong decisions. That's exactly what I just said. Yes.
Well,
Great point, yes.
You're saying the government's the one who did that, and they made that rule in the 1930s.
And I'm saying that I agree with the rule, not that everything that the government does is necessarily correct.
Why do you agree with the rule? Well, then why do you agree with the
I
rule?
agree with the rule because poor people are too fucking stupid to make risky investments. They should be allowed to. It's just another way for them to lose their money. Here's what would happen in your world, Ragepope. If people made that okay, that anybody can be an accredited investor, I'm going back to South Omaha right now. I'm gonna get a fucking bilingual translator, and I'm gonna fucking fundraise $500 from every poor fucking Mexican that lives in that neighborhood for my own fucking roofing business. I'm gonna work as a private consultant to that company. I'm gonna pay myself a $100,000 salary, and it's gonna go bankrupt in 6 months every single fucking time. And that's how I'm gonna make my living for the rest of my life. That's what would happen if your world was allowed to happen.
I don't think that's true at all. But...
Why not? How is that not true at all? Sorry, hold on. How is that not true at all?
Okay, so just because you're lowering the bar doesn't mean you have to let everybody participate. One. Two.
Oh, wait, so you're saying you'd lower the bar, but you'd still keep it? So you agree with the rule? We're just haggling over the fucking number? So does that mean you're okay when the government does everything then, Ragepope? Isn't that what you said?
Yes, yeah, I am. And two, the second thing is what you can do is you can bar people from raising money for things that are clearly fraudulent, which is what it sounds like you're failing businesses.
Whoa, what would it be clear? I want to make a roofing company. How is that clearly fraudulent? We're going to make a whole new department of the federal government to figure out what a fraudulent new business is that's raising money from poor investors?
That's what the SEC has done always for everything that's raised from everybody. So yeah, you would just expand the scope of their thing. And when you've created 20 failed businesses in a row, the same thing, and you're paying yourself and you've never done anything tangible towards actually meeting a business goal, then yeah, you can probably throw yourself in jail.
Oh, so I just need one successful business before I go and scam and defraud a whole bunch of poor people.
No, you need to continue to not scam and defraud poor people. If you continue to try to raise businesses over and over, sure, I don't see why they have any reason to be denied investing in your business if they have the appropriate knowledge of what you're doing in your history, sure.
I'm just looking in Discord. These fucking degenerates actually at you, huh? Steve, they're like, I know. I'm going to get Destiny to read my comment by adding him in Discord. At Destiny, tell Dan that you are making an informed decision about the lack of insurance on your car since you're calculating the depreciation. It's like, bro, what is this fucking move that you guys are trying to do? This is not a good look. Anyways. Can everyone real quick just at Destiny in Discord just with your actually never mind, don't do that.
Do you want me to
no,
counter that?
No, I remember last time and I stopped myself. Do not do that. Do
Is there some free Discord Nitro out there?
No, hold on. Settings, privacy, 1 sec. Hold up. Do not do that.